Hey guys, my name is Conchal and I'm the outreach lead for Team Cyber Savants. We're Team 24432 located in Cary, North Carolina.
I'm Pranav and I'm on 24432. I am the design lead for our team.
Yeah, hi, I'm Nishant. I'm the design lead for Team 6078 Cutthroat Wire. This is my 5th year in FTC.
I'm Aditya. I'm currently on Team 22377 on the mechanical team, and this is school's a part of North Carolina School of Science and Math. And yeah, this is my 3rd year in FTC.
All right, nice to meet y'all. So kind of what we're doing today is that we're talking about our plans for FTC this year, as well as what work we've been doing in the community. So I wanted to start off with like kind of our game strategy for this year. So this year we have like a hanging thing, we're like hanging game pieces. So how are you guys thinking of doing that?
Well, I mean, there's 2 parts to it, right? There's the specimens and there's the samples. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, it depends on how the game dynamics are. I mean, we've only seen a couple competitions in Australia and some other places, but it seems like usually there's one team that does the specimens and there's one team that does the samples. And so, I mean, to be honest, I think to be a competitive team this year, you need to be able to do both to adapt to your alliance
Yeah, I
partner.
agree.
Yeah,
Which is a pretty important thing.
yeah. I also agree. Like what Nishant said. One other big part is gonna be autonomous, like with doing the samples and specimens,
Yeah,
like
for
coordinating with your. I feel like the samples are definitely a lot easier on the one side, and then the specimens are gonna be a little bit harder because the human element kind of has to coordinate with the robot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to endgame, they didn't. The hanging is like the only extraneous task that they've added.
Because
Last year we had a paper airplane thing as well. Yeah.
Too, but I think they only added it because it's kind of a hard task,
Yeah.
a 2-stage climb. But there's obviously a lot of teams talking about, is it even worth it to get to the second bar,
Yeah.
the tier 3 hang? You're getting extra 15 points, but you could score two in the high bucket for samples and get
And I get
16,
this- yeah,
16
exactly.
points.
Yeah.
And also, is it worth putting your robot 5 feet in the air? Is that risk
Yeah, and
worth
then
it?
what if it falls and breaks, things like that. You
Yeah.
gotta think about that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the game is a lot different from
Yeah.
previous years,
Uh-huh.
especially with like no randomization at the start and things like that,
Yeah.
which is and no like
Yeah.
camera vision and stuff.
I think camera vision is kind of encouraged though
Yeah,
through other parts of the game. But yeah.
autonomous becomes challenging. If you don't have it.
Say in previous seasons there was like a lot, as you guys said, with like randomization and camera vision. How do you guys think of implementing that into this year's season and your designs?
Well, I think the best teams will have some sort of automation for pickup of the right color. I think in autonomous it's basically required. You're only limited to 3 of the samples and 3 of the alliance specific samples and 3 of the neutral samples.
Yeah.
And so I think to be a very competitive team, you need to be able to do just more than just that, which requires you going into the submersible. So
Yeah.
you're going to need some kind of camera vision to know you have to pick up the right color and make sure you don't get a penalty. Yeah.
Okay.
I think camera vision is like, it's not required, but I feel like it's encouraged,
Yeah.
as you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also with the April tags, they made the April tags bigger, so like I think they're kind of encouraging the use of April tags for localization and stuff like that. And because last year, like on the board, the April tags were like this tiny, not really useful. But all the ones on the field this year are like pretty big, so I think that's a little easier.
With odometry and those things coming into play as well, do you think that like, cameras or April tags around the border would actually be helpful for other FCC teams, or would they opt for odometry pods instead?
I think you want to fuse the 2, right?
That's pretty much. I mean, that's optimal.
Yeah.
But might be out of the scope for some
Yeah.
teams. Like it's probably a more advanced concept. I think a lot of new things this season, kind of like the spark fun, like the odometry,
Optical odometry.
the optical odometry, and also the pinpoint black box from
Yeah.
Builder are good options as well.
Yeah.
Alright, yeah, so that's really good to hear our game plans for this year. But obviously, as a team that's a part of FIRST, we definitely need to be helping out the community when we're spreading our love for robotics and STEM. So how have you guys been doing that in the community?
Yeah, so actually he used to be part of 6078 Cutthroat Wire.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
before he's now at NCSSM boarding school, but before that he was on our team and we ran a week-long camp for ages like 12 through 18.
Yeah, I've seen that on Instagram.
Yeah, at one of our sponsors, MetLife's location, and so this was like kind of an ongoing thing we've done for the past couple of years, but it's always just as fruitful as the last year.
Yeah.
I think the effect that we have on a lot of the students, not only like how much they enjoy it, but the fact that they're like almost 50% of them 50% of like the 25 that were at the camp have now joined FLL and FTC teams,
Yeah.
which I think is like a pretty big effect of
Yeah.
what we've done, a pretty big impact. What about you?
One of the big things we do on Sigmacorns is we run a scrimmage, FLL scrimmage. That's a little bit unique to just normal FLL competitions. We have more tailored feedback for the students, and it's one of the bigger scrimmages with companies, 24 teams.
Yeah.
There's a combination of experience and more rookie teams, so people can learn from each other. For example, like one of my teams I mentored got inspiration from attachments from like a team that got the top score.
Oh, okay.
So like I think that's like a good opportunity for people to interact.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
share first to each other. So yeah.
Yeah. I actually volunteered at that event, and it was a lot of fun, and I think a lot of the kids learned a lot from each other.
Yeah, it's really good to see like smiles on kids' faces when they're
Exactly.
Cause like I know that when I was joining FTC, like the robots were so cool to me. Cause like just seeing like one piece of machinery that could accomplish so many tasks that just teenagers build is just so cool to see.
Yeah. What about you guys? What do y'all do?
Yeah, so we actually teach classes to the community. So we kind of took an approach that was more virtual, so then we could kind of make it easier to reach like different parts of the state. So what we kind of do is that we advertise STEM classes such as like Intro to Python programming and advanced math classes through our community, and then we teach that through one of our partner nonprofits. It's called the Global Scholars Alliance.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, so we were actually, in our last episode, we talked to a team in Wyoming, I believe, and one thing that they had is that they basically went around the community. So it's like a small community in Powell, Wyoming, where they like kind of sell rubber, or they don't sell them. Oh yeah, they sell them. Yeah, they sell like rubber ducks to like people of the community, and then one day they have like 600 to 700 rubber ducks just sold for $5 each, because like their community is like a tight knit, like everyone knows each other, things like that. So they put all of those like rubber ducks in like a lazy river, and they see like which ones come like the top 5,
Like a
and
race?
give them like prizes,
Okay.
and that's how they kind of raise money for their team, and that raises like thousands and thousands for them. So I was definitely thinking of trying to see if like we could implement like a community-based initiative like within our team to like kind of get our fundraising numbers up. So how do you guys like fundraise? Like I know that there's grants, but like is there anything else that y'all do?
Yeah, I mean, going back to our MetLife camp, that's where the majority of our funding comes from. Running a camp requires, like we don't do the camp for free. The students have to pay. We give them like a little robot that they take home and stuff. So that's where the majority of our funding comes from. Obviously, as you talked about grants, we get grants from like T Connectivity with like their whole like FTC grant, and then we apply for grants through like the Gene Haas Foundation and things like that. That's where a majority of our funding comes from. But I think there's many unique ways to get funding in FTC. I think a lot of the time you can find local businesses that are willing to sponsor and like help out with teams, especially with like the whole STEM like movement in high schoolers. I think there's many unique ways to get funding, as you talked about.
What about y'all?
As far as like our team structure, there's more of like it's more of a disjointed kind of, not really disjointed, but like separated into different responsibilities. So I don't know as much about funding and things, but as far as I know, we mostly apply for grants, get some funding through our school, and also get like additional funding from like other sponsors and stuff. I don't think we get as much money from events and stuff. I know we might like most of our events are geared towards making it as cheap as possible for the attendees and just making it run. But yeah, we mostly like grants in our school.
Yeah.
As far as I know, I don't know much about money.
I've heard a lot about like the events and stuff that you guys do, like fundraising, the summer camps and stuff like that, which are really great, and a lot of teams also strive for these types of activities. But I think one thing that a lot of teams struggle with is just marketing and getting people to come to these events. Like, how do you guys tackle that challenge on that aspect?
Yeah, that's definitely a tough one. I think social media engagement is very difficult, especially in FTC, because like, I don't know, the way I see it is that like a lot of teams will post on social media, but like I feel like there's not much interaction between teams.
Yeah.
And I think that makes it difficult. But I think the real way to do this, I mean, for our camp, the majority of the way we advertise it is through like, I mean, MetLife as a company, we have to send out emails to all their employees and things like that. I think direct contact with other people is the only way to do it. I think finding communities, as we were part of a nonprofit called the Forge Initiative, and so we were able to also get direct contact to people within that community to, come to our events and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. That's like, oh yeah, I was trying to say that's like kind of one of the reasons why we started this podcast, to kind of show how fun FTC can be, that we're able to sit here and talk about it. As teenagers with like so many other things to do, we can be hanging out with our friends or be doing homework or something else, but we're choosing to spend 30 minutes talking about like FTC in general. So I really want people to watch this podcast and be interested in FTC.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we have like a more structured like team structure, I guess you could say. We have like a mechanical team, outreach team, and like all that stuff, right? So the outreach team focuses mostly on like the marketing aspect and stuff. So we use connections from our alumni who graduated. We also advertise on social media. And we've had quite a bit of engagement in social media, but like obviously, like what you said, doesn't actually like provide as much of an interaction. But it still provides awareness to other teams.
And
you guys engage in like presentations at Worlds.
Yeah,
and
we
things
did
like
do. We tried to connect with the first community. So even last year we were very close to getting to Worlds, but we still sent a couple of our members to the World Championship and did a couple presentations on concepts like on scientific analysis, on robots, and starting like from rookie teams and how to like start that up too.
Alright, that's cool. So I think that we can kind of. Sorry, I blanked on what I was thinking of, but so you were talking about how you guys went to Worlds. So I wanted to know, is like your team like based, like where do you guys work out of?
So as we were in a part of the NCSSM community, so we obviously all live there. So we have like a tiny mechatronics laboratory in one of the buildings, and that's where we work out of, and our field is like near that area, and that's basically all the stuff there. It's a little harder based off the schedule too, because everyone there is really busy. So we have to kind of make it work.
Yeah, I mean, for us, we used to work out of the Forge Initiative, as I talked about, as one of the nonprofits, but we've transitioned into becoming a community team as we work out of one of our members' basements now. I mean, obviously it's a little bit of a change. I think it's also a pretty big challenge as somebody's basement doesn't have the same tools or equipment or space that someplace like someplace like a makerspace would have. So I think it's a challenge, but also I think it's also an advantage of like you have freedom to do like what you want when you want to. I mean, I think it gives you a different kind of outlook on it. I think obviously you face challenges with team engagement too. Yeah. Without having a proper space and a proper environment, team engagement comes pretty hard as it's like kind of going to somebody's house versus going to like a space where
So you brought up a point about alumni. So we're all juniors, right? All right. So that means like 2 years we're gonna be kind of graduating. We won't be a part of our team anymore, unfortunately. But like, what are you guys' plans, like long-term visions for after you graduate high school? How do you know that your team will continue like growing and getting better?
Yeah, I think team sustainability is a very important thing. I think having a team that has been good over generations is honestly one of the biggest challenges that people face in first. I think in FRC especially, I think it's very mentor driven compared to FTC, as FTC teams are generally smaller and don't have as much engagement from older people. Yeah. But I think the key to keeping team sustainability is alumni engagement. I think throughout my time in FTC and most of our times in FTC, I think a big importance that we should have is through like keeping the rest of our members and keeping the younger ones like updated and like keeping them motivated. I think that's pretty important. And then also alumni engagement is important too. I mean, I wouldn't say as important as keeping sustainability while you're on the team. Yeah. But if I was an alumni, I'd still want to mentor my team.
Exactly.
And I'd love to judge and referee at competitions. I feel like that's something I'm very passionate about.
Yeah. I mean, one interesting thing is like one of the people who were on our team like 2 years ago, they still come to our meetings from NC State and mentor us there too. So like give us feedback and all that stuff. And they use the resources that they've gained out of FTC. Like they work and they have like crazy machinery and like 3D printers and stuff like that. And we can gain access to that stuff too. Yeah. So I think the connections that the alumni have outside of FIRST and stuff like that, you can gain access to that through there.
Yeah, that's true. Good point.
Yeah. So like I see that you're talking about this cool machinery that you guys use, but like I know that some people are privileged to have like 3D printers and access to 3D printers, but how do we make sure that anyone who wants to kind of get into robotics or building something themselves, how do you guys like see giving access to resources? So if you were like someone that was trying to start a project and you weren't a part of an FTC team, how would you get access to those resources?
It's a good question. I think a lot of schools these days, I think our high school, Green Level High, we have like classes where 3D printers are like the core of the class, and learning how to make 3D design and the design process. I think it's a core part of our classes, which inspires a lot of students. But obviously, taking the next step is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, as FTC teams, I think we can do our best to try to narrow that gap.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at. Yeah.
I think like with our camp, like I think we do a lot of that. We've seen a lot of kids who come back to us saying, "Hey, I got a 3D printer after your camp."
Yeah.
Or I did this after your camp. Or I did that after your camp. I think that's the best way to get people involved.
Yeah,
And,
I
like,
definitely
take
agree.
that
I
next step.
definitely agree.
Like recently the Forge closed, as you guys said, right? And I think there's a lot of teams that rely on the Forge and those types of activities. I think closing the gap would also be beneficial be helped by creating more of these types of initiatives or areas where students can actually freely go and explore their own creativity by doing any types of activities that they want. So I think opening those and showing support to companies that have certain activities like that is really important.
I definitely agree. So I know that I saw a lot of like last attempts for funding when the Forge was like on the verge of closing.
Yeah.
So one thing that I definitely believe that I feel like I wish that like the entire like we have the NCFGC like Discord and everything. I wish that we like even our team were like more aware about it, so then NCFGC as like a whole could help advertise this. I feel like we definitely could have helped that. Stop from happening. So what happened to the Forge now? Is it like completely closed? Like have they sold that area or?
I think it's pretty complicated. I wouldn't say I'm very engaged in what's going on, but I think they're planning to relocate and kind of tweak their business model and how they're going to go forward or how they're going to go forward now. I wouldn't say it's closed. I'd say they're more like, I guess they're making changes.
Figuring out what to do.
Yeah. But like
there's still teams.
Yeah, there's still teams working out working as Forge teams.
Yes.
But for us personally, I mean, there's a whole plethora of like liabilities and stuff that exist. So we decided to come out just for this year. We're not sure about the future, but that's just for us.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I was thinking like obviously this might be like a really hard task or something that we need to do down the line. But what do you guys think of like something that we could try to work on to create like a space within our local area for just robotics or people who kind of want to come build up like their STEM projects and things like that? Like how would you guys envision that happening?
Yeah, I think in Greensboro, the early college at Guilford robotics teams, they have their own space outside of the school. I think I really like that. I mean, I visited a couple times. I really like the environment and kind of how it is. But I think what you're more talking about is kind of like a STEM maker space.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of thing. Yeah, I think there's definitely a place for that in our community. I think there are so many like teams and so many people who are itching to like to do like.
It's like the new wave. All
exactly.
the AI, machine learning, but like now people are applying that to actual like hardware and projects that they can build.
Yeah,
I definitely agree.
What do you think?
Yeah, one of the initiatives I'm working as a part of to start up is kind of like a STEM makerspace, but more like a STEM maker club.
Oh, okay.
So basically, it's I think one of the biggest challenges is of having in-person spaces like paying the rent. It's a lot of money, right? So staying open is and getting all the money. It's like really expensive to have a space and commercial space and all that stuff, right? So my goal is like a maker club, which we're starting as a part of our team and like a personal project, is to kind of provide a community instead of direct resources, I guess you could say, a community and opportunities. So like you could run maybe workshops or stuff like that to gauge interest and like get people involved in robotics and stuff, and maybe that can open doors to new possibilities, stuff like that. So it's more sustainable in terms of.
I think like government engagement is also something that we can improve. I think the government obviously has their own things to worry about, but I think some part I think us teams, we can engage with, I guess, like the local government or like Congress people from North Carolina to like improve things like these, like kind of maybe, I don't know,
Federal funding.
federal funding for like initiatives that we do. I mean, we're literally fueling the next generation of
Yeah.
innovators.
Mhm.
Like I think what we're doing is like very, very important. I think the government would be down to like.
Yeah, no, I see what
Okay.
you're saying. Not only government engagement, but also like school engagement. Like I want to see more schools like having like after school build spaces for like just teams to come in. Like I feel like a lot of teachers, especially those that teach these engineering classes that you're talking about, would kind of be interested in mentoring this, and that's definitely something that I would kind of look to in the near future. So I wanted to go back kind of like on our game plans for this year. So like what are you guys like? What track are you guys on with your robot? I know right now we're still finishing the final touches, and we ordered our parts, like finishing the final design touches.
Yeah.
And we're ordering our parts right now. So we're running a little bit late. So how are you guys doing with your robots?
Yeah, we're also running a little bit late. I mean, as I talked about with the transitions that our team is facing,
Yeah.
things have gotten prolonged. But I mean, I think we're in the same boat as you guys. We haven't ordered parts yet. We're still finalizing our design.
Yeah.
Our robot is like mostly custom, so like a lot of the stuff we order will change depending on our design. So we don't want to commit to anything right now. And also, stock is a huge issue right now. There's so many parts that we need that are out of stock or back order, this and that. So it's kind of a mess. But I think we're hoping to get a working robot by December. And so what about you guys?
Yeah, I mean, one big challenge with our schedule is our schedule, right? We have like a bunch of like extended weekends, long breaks. Like we had fall break, we have extended weekends, Thanksgiving break, now a month-long winter break. So we have less time in between. So we're a little bit behind as well in like terms of like getting a robot up and running. We have like ordered parts and stuff, but like it's been kind of on the back burner right now because we're on break right now, so we didn't have anyone there to build. But we hope to get something up by like November, end of November, December.
Alright. So are you guys planning to get into any scrimmages soon?
Yeah, I think there is the official one sometime in mid-December that usually happens.
I thought it was early.
Or early December, something like that. And there's one that I think is being held at HP.
I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, I think that one's also happening. There's a wait list for that one.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, scrimmages are obviously very important.
Yeah,
I think
I definitely
to digest the game. There was the robot in 5-6 weeks, some weeks at Cardinal Gibbons, which was, I saw some of the videos. I think it was pretty interesting to see.
Yeah, I saw theirs as well on Instagram.
I think even if you're not competing, just going to these scrimmages, just like looking at
Volunteering.
other stuff and see how other teams are competing is pretty important as well.
Another scrimmage that we're planning to go to is Elon.
Oh, yeah.
Elon, the thing that I think close to the qualifiers. Like January sometime. So a good one.
So like kind of back to why we joined FTC. I wanted to know like what was like your personal spark for like joining FTC?
That's a good question. I gotta think back. So I actually joined FTC in 7th grade, so it's been quite a while. But I transitioned from FLL, so first LEGO League before FTC. I was in the first LEGO League for 3 years before that. So I think I was kind of led down like the pathway of like being a first kid. I didn't reach FRC yet. I don't think I'm gonna do FRC, but I obviously I was introduced to robotics. Honestly, I have no idea how, but I think I just I mean, who doesn't find robots cool? Like that's what I'm saying. So I think I just went down that path, and it's just kind of been a long road. Of like 5 years, or well, I guess if you include FLL, 8 years now.
For me, like I feel like I've definitely always been in love with like giving back to the community. So whenever I saw like robotics teams, I never really thought of that until I saw a flyer for Cyber Savants, and that within that flyer, like they definitely when I was getting recruited, they definitely included like details about how they help the community and why it would be beneficial for us to join. So that's like kind of what sparked my interest. Because I always felt like, if I do robotics, I'm just going to be sitting here for a couple hours, build this robot, go home, do my homework. It's not like that. It's like, of course, I'm helping build the robot, design the robot, code the robot. I'm helping with all these things, but also outside of our build space itself, we're also doing work to help our community. So that's what kind of like inspired me to join FTC.
Similar to you, Nishan, there was like, FLL was like my introduction to it first. I continued until 6th grade, but then like 7th grade, like that was all COVID year. It's like a big gap, and without like no robotics, like it was just like a home and stuff like that. I got back into first, but I didn't really know what to do. I was like 8th grader. I couldn't really do FLL. I was a little too old, so I had to kind of like move into FTC, and that's how I kind of joined FTC.
Yeah.
Maybe team there.
I started tinkering with like random stuff from like a young age and building like my own projects. That was just like on my own, right? I think one of my friends introduced me to the first program, which kind of through FLL. I only did 1 year of FLL in 8th grade, but like I think that is a more structured form, like a more kind of like goal oriented, like
I see what
the
you're
stuff I was saying.
yeah.
So like, oh, like I want to go to states, I want to go to worlds, I want to win this award, but it's more. That was obviously a goal, but I really like the journey of, I guess, failing. I don't know how to explain it. Iteration. You do something, it doesn't work. You do it again, it doesn't work. You do it again, and it works, and that's the greatest feeling, right? So like, that's like that's what made me fall in love with robotics. So and after FLL, I joined Cutthroat Wire. And did that for 2 years. And
I definitely agree. And being surrounded with a team of like teenagers who are your age, who also want this to work, that's the best feeling, because when it does work, all of you guys are happy, all of you guys are like rejoicing. Like obviously like definitely like the all-nighters that we pulled before competition, like those are like my memories from FTC. Like that's like why I love being a part of FTC, and why I'll continue to be a part even when I graduate high school. So I definitely agree on that.
Honestly, I have a pretty different kind of question, but have you guys seen the changes to like eliminations format?
Yeah.
Kind of. I kind of don't really understand how they work. It's more like.
It's now double elimination, so it's like winner bracket, losers bracket.
I thought you said
elimination,
not elimination.
Oh, and then like they like compete again at the very end, like winners and losers.
So it's not like a.
It's not like a one.
One time.
What are your opinions on that?
What you think?
I think it's good.
I think it's good too.
I mean, it makes it a little more interesting, I guess.
It'll be longer though. The competition will be longer.
But it's like best out of one for the early matches.
Oh, okay.
So there's not like those qualifiers, like those 5 different rounds.
Oh no, there is. That's how you get the ranking. But then the eliminations, you know how it's usually like 1st to 2 or best out of 3.
Okay. So
like the first couple rounds until the finals are all best out of 1.
Okay.
And then the finals is the losers bracket has to beat the winners.
No, I see what you're saying. So you need to lose twice against 2 different teams to get out, right?
Exactly.
I mean, I feel like that's better because, in like the best 2 out of 3 matches, you kind of know like one side's a little bit above the other side, unless like an upset happens, right? But I feel like it's better. You're facing different teams more.
I feel like it might make it a little bit more exciting too. It's like when you already got 1 loss on your plate, you already know. This is probably got 1
They're announcing advancement awards before the finals match.
Oh.
So that's also a bit of a soft spot.
Okay.
I will say. So they'll be announcing Inspire Award before the final match.
Okay, so then does that mean that teams will have some extra time before the finals to make any I feel like.
Well, I don't think it's about that. I think it's about
I know.
if you're an Inspire contending team, but also in the finals, you basically it's like do or die.
Exactly.
I see. Okay, that's
adds more tension.
Yeah, a little bit
So
more.
would you know you're an Inspire Award winner, or like?
So
You would know
before the finals match.
Oh, okay, alright.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
So
if you knew, you're chill. But like,
exactly.
If you know you got it, then you're really good. If you don't, then you're like.
then you're a little bit tough spot. But you guys saw the removal of the control award. That was pretty interesting too.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
It's included.
We submitted that last year at our comps. I think last year we won Motivate in all 3 of our regional comps. We won Design in 2 of them, and then we won first place something else. I forgot. But what awards did y'all win? I know y'all won Inspire Award once. What about you? You were part of.
I was part of
the
Wire last year. Same award.
What did y'all win last year? I know y'all won a couple.
So we won the Inspire Award at our first qualifier, and then at our second one we won Think. Was it? I think it was Think. So then at States we won Think again. But I mean awards are something. I think there's a lot of learning when it comes to like being an award contender.
That's true.
I think there's a big learning gap too.
There's like a certain framework that you need to like fall into to qualify for like
Yeah.
certain awards.
You need to know how the system works.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
a big thing.
Yeah.
I think the openness of that should be improved. I think
Yeah, I definitely.
knowing about how the judging process works should be something all teams know.
I feel like that's something us as teams could like start a project on, maybe even like make like a streamlined version of like a kind of like a basis or like a guide for teams to kind of watch. I know there's a couple on YouTube, but like specifically based on like competitions, like what to do at competitions. That could be cool, and then rookie teams could definitely use that.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams don't know about like scouting and
Exactly.
making
Yeah,
themselves
there's so many
known.
different components.
Yeah, there's a lot of components. I think there's a big disconnect too.
Yeah.
And I think maybe this is kind of like a little bit of a stretch, but like maybe it's gonna be just like have like mock judge interviews where they like just to see how it'll be at comps.
And it doesn't have to be real judges. It could be
just like other teams,
adults, coaches, and things like that.
Yeah, at the Bull City scrimmage, that's what we do. Like,
okay.
There's no awards based off it,
Uh-huh.
but you get good feedback from for the FLL teams. Maybe we could transfer that to FTC as well. Like some scrimmages to do that.
Okay, so I think that we're reaching like the 30-ish minute mark already, and time passed really fast.
Yeah.
But I think we should be closing out soon, just so then it's an easier watch for everyone. We don't want to keep rambling, but like I wanted to ask if there's any like final comments that you guys would give, either to FTC teams or just people who are interested in robotics in general. Like, what would you guys like to say?
I think a big thing is that robotics is never like the biggest thing in your life. I think a lot of people get absorbed in like, you know, the competition environment and being the best or having the best robot. And there's so many things. And I think the biggest thing is that robotics is never bigger than you.
Yeah.
I think that's something that a lot of people should understand. I think even this was a big learning moment for me last year after, you know, we were a little bit disappointed in how our season ended. And I think that's a big learning moment for me.
Yeah. I feel like. Oh, sorry. You can go ahead.
You go.
Oh, okay, but I feel like for me, something similar is just like the two words, gracious professionalism. That definitely, because like I've seen teams that are trying to fix like their own robot, but then they see something happen with another team and they leave their robot to help the other team. Like that's like the craziest thing to me. Like that culture within First, I feel like that's what makes me like feel so lucky to be a part of this organization.
What are you saying?
I mean, like along the lines of robotics is like never bigger than you, right?
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of people lose sight of what robotics is. Like robotics is a way to improve. Like it's like a way to have fun, I guess you could say, right? You can be competitive, have a competitive nature, but at the end of the day, it's just a bunch of high schoolers who's in a competition who are just like having fun and building stuff with go-builder parts, right?
Yeah, it's like a sport. It's like a sports game. So robotics.
So like what you said, right? Gracious profession. Same thing with sportsmanship and as
Traditional
soccer
sports.
or stuff like that, right? So I think at the end of the day, we should like respect each other, gracious professionalism and stuff like that.
Like even as a competition as a whole, like in every competition, even in sports, as you mentioned, right? Like I don't think the competition is exactly like a very like just people being competitive. But there's a lot of learning to it.
Mhm.
Even if you don't like do really, really good, you understand a lot of stuff as you go on. Like for example, like just 3D modeling. I was not that good joining FTC like at all, and I got into it, and now I mean I still wouldn't say I'm like really, really good, but like I understand the basic concepts, and I'm able to like 3D model like decent components of a robot and stuff like that. So there's a lot of learning to just a competitive environment.
Because like people think that you have to know a lot about robotics to join a team, but when you join the team, you actually learn so much more about robotics. So even if you aren't fully experienced, like I know I definitely didn't know much about robotics or like even building like things in general before joining, or like 3D modeling or anything that goes within it. But I came in and I learned everything. I learned everything from how to like design and manufacture t-shirts, because we're gonna make our own t-shirts and like things like that. So like I've learned so many things through robotics, even if they aren't like something that you think you would learn.
Yeah, there's it's way more than just robots.
Yeah.
It's something that a lot of people don't consider. But
All right. Thank you guys for watching. Again, this is Team 24432 Cyber Savants.
6078 Cut the Red Wire.
22377 Sigmacorns.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.